Hey, what's up YouTube? It's me again, Matt, or Techonsite of PC.com. I'll show you a quick video regarding the difference of an SSD over a regular HDD. Now, let us see in terms of physical appearance. Let's see what's an SSD and a regular HDD. So this one, most of you are familiar with this one. It's a regular HDD. This is a 3.5 hard disk drive. So it's somewhat heavy and it looks very familiar. It's a 3.5. Now this one is an SSD. This is an Intel SSD, 60 gigabyte capacity. Now its size is 2.5. This would normally fit into a laptop, and using a hard drive cage, you can also put this on a desktop. Well, this 3.5 regular HDD, you can install it or have it on a regular desktop or even on a laptop. It has a form factor of 2.5. Now, let's discuss what's the difference between an SSD and a regular HDD. Now, in terms of form factor, a regular HDD has a magnetic platter. Now this magnetic platter, this is where you store the data. Okay. Now imagine a CD, a magnetic platter. It's a mechanism which spins as the hard drive read or writes data. Okay, so it spins all throughout the duration when you're using the machine. Now inside this regular HDD, aside from the magnetic platter, it has a read-write arm which moves around whenever you read or write data on the hard drive. Now, in an SSD, there's no magnetic platter on an SSD. Now, in an SSD, it has memory chips. It's comparable to the memory or RAM that we have on a computer. Okay. Now, since there's no read-write arm in an SSD and there's no magnetic platter which spins around the SSD, that results to faster speed. Okay, so generally an SSD is much faster in a regular HDD. The SSD would boot up faster and it would launch application faster, and in terms of overall performance, the SSD wins over the HDD. Okay. Now, aside from speed, in terms of price, the hard disk drive or HDD would cost around $100 for a 1 terabyte hard drive, whereas in an SSD, a 1 terabyte would cost a whopping $600 for a 1 terabyte SSD. So that sums up, in an HDD it costs around 10 cents per gigabyte, whereas in an SSD it costs around 60 cents per gigabyte. So that's only the downfall of SSD over an HDD. SSD cost much than a regular HDD. Okay. Now, in terms of maximum capacity, the HDD has a maximum capacity of around 4 terabyte, whereas an SSD, the maximum capacity is only 1 terabyte, and it's very rare. You can find around 120 gigabyte to 500 terabyte normally in an SSD, but 1 terabyte, which is already the maximum, is only very few. Now, we've discussed about the cost and the maximum capacity. Now, and also the speed. with regard to fragmentation, an SSD does not care about fragmentation, whereas in an HDD, as you write more files in an HDD, it would tend to get fragmented, meaning the files are scattered into the platter, and that results normally into slower read or write speed. Okay. Now, in terms of durability, which one would you think better, SSD or HDD? Now, it's the SSD which is more durable because an SSD does not have a moving mechanism, so it's more rugged and it's more durable. Now, in terms of availability, it's more common to have an HDD over an SSD. Now, it's been there. The HDD has been there for a long year, while SSD is somewhat new in the market. Okay, so you get more models of HDD with more manufacturers than a regular SSD. Okay, now overall, which one is better? Okay, now if not for the price and the maximum capacity, SSD is the overall winner. Only the price and the maximum capacity is the bad thing about SSD. But in terms of durability, speed, and it has also comparably it produces no noise because there's no moving part. So SSD is the best for you to have. Okay, especially if you're if it's important for you the boot up speed, if that's important for you, and if the load up of application is important for you, and in terms of overall performance, if you want speed, SSD is the way to go. Okay, so I think that's about the difference between SSD and HDD. I would significantly recommend upgrading to an SSD. Now, in order to compensate about the price, what you can do, especially if you have a desktop, you can use SSD as your main operating system, which is the drive C. And for your applications, for your other applications and data, you can have an HDD. You can put it into your HDD. In my setup, that's my setup. I put the operating system into the SSD and the other files and data on the HDD. The difference in terms of boot up speed is like night and day. A computer with an SSD would boot up in around 10 to 20 seconds, over 2 minutes on a regular HDD. So that's a very huge difference if you're using SSD. So I think that's about it. I've discussed about the difference between SSD and HDD and why you should upgrade to SSD. Now, put down your comments down below in the comment section. Share your thoughts and experience in using HDD and SSD. And don't forget to subscribe so you get more updates on the future videos that I'll be uploading soon. So again, for your computer parts and accessories needs, please visit www.thepeatpc.com and look for seller Techonsite. I'll catch you later. Thank you.